mean, this had been expected. Now it's official. What impact for Total? What impact for Iran?
Well, Total had actually said previously, Francois, that it's not going to affect its company's production in the long term because they have ways of diversifying. So they're still on track, according to Total, to increase production by 5% a year until 2022. But in terms of prestige, of course, it's a blow because you have to remember Total was the first foreign company to get this stake in this huge gas field. South Pars, one of the biggest in the world, and that was sort of in the heady days just after the 2015 nuclear deal was signed. It was a kind of a harbinger of other foreign, particularly Western investments in Iran. So of course it's a blow for Total in that sense. As far as Iran is concerned, well, there are some quite high stakes here. If I can show you a graphic of what South Pars actually represents, 7.5% of the world's gas reserves and nearly 40% of Iran's total natural gas wealth. So it's very important for the Iranians to keep this going. They want to reinvest some of that gas into the domestic network, but a lot of it they want to export, and that's really the key thing for Iran, to find customers in the Middle East and even in Europe, and that's why it's going to be very important to try and maintain this with the Chinese possibly taking over France's stake in this.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the plan?
Well, the plan is for the Chinese National Petroleum Company to take France's stake. In fact, an Iranian official from the Iranian National Oil Company has already said that China is doing that, but there's been no confirmation so far from the Chinese National Petroleum Company itself. In terms of what China could actually do here, well, you've got to remember there's a big difference between Total and CNPC, the Chinese oil company, which is that Total was very exposed to these US secondary sanctions, or potentially so, because Total really does need access to dollars for its operations. CNPC is in a different situation because it can deal with banks that settle payments in euros or even in the Chinese currency itself. There's a relationship between the Chinese central bank and, between the Iranian central bank and a Chinese bank called the Bank of Kunlun, which is a key player in all this, and which
doesn't deal in dollars.
Exactly. So it's not as vulnerable as Total and some Western companies are. But in terms of China really sort of filling the void more widely, that's really a moot point, because if we're going outside the oil sector, you have to look at other companies that are present in many other fields or have been present but are now saying that they will pull out. Some of them already have done. So companies like Maersk, Peugeot, General Electric, Boeing, Siemens. So if you're looking at the economy as a whole, there are certain areas where the Chinese are arguably not in a cutting-edge position where Europeans or Americans have been, and it's going to be hard to fill that particular gap, which is of course precisely why, Francois, the Iranians were looking to diversify after that 2015 deal and get these Western companies in so as not to be reliant only on Chinese and Russian investment.
All right, so Tehran definitely feeling the pinch. Many thanks for that, Armin Georgian.